there, you're welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to be walking you through how to create responsive navbar. Okay, responsive navbar. So already we have this. Don't forget our previous tutorial we work on transition, advanced CSS, property, transition, and form or transform. So that's how we got what you are seeing now. So now today we're going to be walking you through this. Okay, so it's a responsive um navbar, and the toggle tool is working as well. So let's reduce the width of the screen. Can you see it adjusts to the screen size? Can you see that also? Oh, that transition at work. Can you see transition at work? When you put it, it expands, and when you go, you can see that also moves in 3-degree circle. All right, so that's what we're going to be working on today. So let's expand this back. Can you see? So at the end of today's tutorial, you'll be able to create the similar responsive navbar. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, here I have the code. This is the code base. So I'm going to be removing this nav, so we won't see it again. Even if you can see the toggle button, but it won't be there again. Can you see? I've removed it, so deleted that already. Then let's remove the toggle as well. I'm going to show you how to create it from the scratch. Okay, so let's remove the toggle, this button also. Can you see? Let's refresh, and can you see it's not showing any button again? So this is what we had on our previous tutorial. Still have this. So let's clean off the CSS tool and start all over from the beginning to the end. Sorry, my voice is somehow low today, so please bear with me. Let's remove all of this. Let's see if it will not affect our, okay, it doesn't affect, so good. So this is where we stop on our last tutorial. So let's create the nav bar. Also, I want you to know something. After this tutorial, our next tutorial, we're going to be using React to learn everything that we need to learn. Now that we have the basic of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we are going to put in our attention on React. React is a library, is a front-end library that enables us to create a front end in time. Okay, so in no time we create the front end. Is very fast. That's why the work called React. It's React. So it uses component. We have functional component and we have class component. So we are going to be looking at functional components. And also what makes React unique as well is the state management. I know those times they are very strange. Some of us is strange to us, and some about state and also props. So don't get scared. When we start, I'm going to walk you through from A to Z, so you're going to be good at using React. So all of those we are going to be looking at that to consume API and all. So before then, let's get this one done today. Okay, so go back to my code editor. This is Visual Studio code in case you don't know what the text editor I'm using. It's good. So we have atom, we have brackets, we have Sublime Text, but I'm using Visual Studio Code. That's the choice I choose. Okay, now let's say First and foremost, let's analyze the problem. We need navbar, and that navbar we have options. So on the desktop, it is going to show on a vertical, on a horizontal format. It's going to be like this. But viewing it on phone, we want it to come by the right hand side to overlay this body, the top and the footer. Yes, but here to open it, we need a toggle button that when we click, it comes up. When we need a button also to close it. When we click, it goes up. So that is what we want to achieve today. So let's achieve the first one, the one at the top on the desktop, meaning we are going to be creating for desktop and for the mobile. So let's do that now. So to do that, since we are putting it in between our brand, Spark ICT Hub, and this toggle button, so let's trace that. It's going to be within the head section, but the head section has two elements, the brand and the toggle mode. So let's label it so that we know where we have. So here we have the brand, and we say brand end or hands. So here we have toggle the mode. Yeah, this says the mode toggling hands. So in between the brand and the toggling mode, we will need navbar. So let's label it as well. I hold command on window. I think it should be alt or command. You can try that out and let me know in the comment section what you are using to get this comment boilerplate. Can you see? So this one's going to be for desktop navbar. So let's say hand and the navbar. Now UI in listening, HTML has two type of listening. We have unordered list and we have ordered list. Unordered list gives us bulletin like dots. When you want to list an item, start with dots, then the item, okay? But ordered list starts with numbering, like number. So that's OL, that's ordered list. Order, can you see? OL element represent a list of items where the items have been intentionally ordered. That is, it starts with number one, meaning that one is very, very essential, important. Number two, like in their own priority. So such that changing the order would change the meaning of the document. So what about UL on order list? So UL element represents a list of items where the order of the item is not important. So let's use the unordered list. We can either use order list or unordered list. However, let's continue. So unordered list takes in list item. Good. Then list item we take in what? Let's copy and paste. All right, the first one home, the second one, let's say services, fourth project, contact us, contacts, then about us. Okay, now that we have what we want is horizontal listing. So how do we get that done? To get that done, let's give this a class so as to access it in our CSS. So I'm going to be calling this nav. Okay, nav bar. Okay, nav bar. So nav bar, let's call the nav bar display should be, let's change the display to flex and see what will happen. So flex by default is row, so it will change the orientation from vertical to row or horizontal listing. So let's continue. Let's put border around it to see what we're actually working on. So if you look at it very well, here there is what? Padding. So it is advisable whenever you are using listing and another list or other list to remove padding, the default padding, that then you will be able to have access to whatsoever thing you want to do. Okay, now that we have target that, now let's target the L. Don't forget, L is a child of the UL, and A is the grandchild of UL, but A is a child of LI. Okay, that's the hierarchical. So this is it. The grandparent of A, LI, the parent of A, while A is the child of LI. So L is an hyper. Can you see? You say if that the A element has an href attribute, then it represents a hyperlink labeled by its content. Okay. Now, let's target this child of UL. To target that, we can use multiple selector by saying navbar li. The reason why we are doing this because we are going to be having another UL for the what? For the desktop, for the mobile. So that's why we are trying to use this class, telling us that don't look for any other L. So go to the li of this. Okay, so let's now set the property of li of that. So first and foremost, let's copy the same thing. Let's do the same thing. Let's see what we have. Oh, in this stead, we are going to remove this. Good. Okay, let's see. You can see now. Let's remove this. Let's remove this for now. Good. You will see each of these li has border around it. So now let's set the height of that. The height of the li height. Let's give it 60 pixel. Okay, good. You can give it that I. So but if you don't want that, you can give it any value. Okay, I think let's use that one. So now you will see they are still joined to one another. So what we can do, we can set the weight for this or padding. But however, before then, let's make sure that the text is at the middle of each box. Okay, so how do we get that done? We set display property to flex. Then from flex, you'll be able to have access to align items center. So we have that. We have justify content center as well. So let's go there. We have it. So it's at the center of each box. Now another thing we want to do is to set padding this box. So now what do? We say padding. We are not setting padding for the top and the bottom because we have space already there. So we only need it at the left and right. So you put 2 rems. Let's see what 2 rem will do. Oh, cool. So I think 2 rem is okay. It's okay. So it's space between here and this place. So this were there before, so we don't add any space on that. So the next thing to do now, let's try and put space in between the two, or we should leave it that way. We can leave it this way if it's cool by you. All right, no, let's now I think this height is too much. Let's reduce it from 45 to 30 to 30. I think it's good now. It's okay. Now the next thing we do is to now change the color of this text to something of this nature, white. then remove the underline. But first and foremost, let's remove the underline. To do that, we'll target the grandchild, which is the A. So we say text decoration none. So this remove the underline. Okay, now you have seen how we can target from the grandparent to the parent down to the child. Then we can change the color. The color we are to change is the color of the child, the A anchor. So now we say color. We are using, let's use this very close to white. Can you see that? So we are using that one. And also, if you look at the demo I showed us, it has an over effect, like over effect. When you come here, the color changes. Okay, the background color of each of these tab changes based on the current position of the cursor. So let's do that as well. To have that one done, we're going to target that same child. Target the child. Okay, before targeting the child, let's look at the border. Let's put border 2 and see the space that the child is covering. Can you see it's covering only this place? So we want it to take the weight of the parent as well, the same height of the parent. So do this. You say height 100%. So by then it's going to fit in to the parent height. Okay, then 100%. Okay, that's 100%. Let's remove this and put it inside the child. Let the child determine the height of the parent. Wait, what's going on here? All right, we have that. We have this. So, oh, sorry, this padding, the reason why it's not taking 100%, let me leave it. That's 100%, right? You will see it's not actually taking the height of the parent. Why? Because we set padding, and I told you we are not giving padding to the top and to the right. Let me comment this. You will see that it will adjust to the height of the parent. No wonder the height now is actually 60. Let's give it 60. So it follows the height of the parent. Okay, important. Okay, let's copy that out and put it here. So the height, can you see the height now? The child is taking the height 60 pixel, and that is what the parent is also using, the li is using. So to make sure the text is at the middle, we just copy what we put here initially from the parent. Just copy it. We don't need it. We can cut it and put it inside the child property. Can you see it now? Is it not there? It's there now. Something that is making the li listing style, list style none. It removes this dot. Okay, good. Then we can now put padding inside the child, not the parent now, inside the A anchor. So padding top is 0, then padding left and right 2 rems. Okay, good. So I think we can now remove this. We can remove this. So you can see now. So what we want to do is, when I put the cursor on top of each of these items, the background should change. Okay, so to get that done, copy the same URL and apply over property over. Then over means when I hover on top of this, you should do something. First and foremost, background. I want to change the backgrounds to is it black already? Yeah, it's black. So let's change this to something black too. But however, it's somehow, yeah, it's somehow light. Okay, so this is it. So we have it. That's the effect of over. So over means when I put my cursor on top and over on top of this text, it should show something. So that is how to achieve that. Okay, so having achieved this now, the next thing now is to get the listing on the mobile. You can see now we don't want that. And on our former demo, we see that this was not there. Then toggle has a button for us to get the side menu. So let's get that done now. So to do that, I want you to replicate this, what we have here. Just copy from here to here, copy it and paste it here. What you do, change these comments to mobile and mobile nav and mobile. So, and also add a class to this place, call it sidebar. So we have the class so that the property of this one will not be this one will be having an external property or additional properties. Okay, if you look at it now, we now have it. Can you see it now? Both of them have the same property, so there's no problem about that. But what we want now is that this one should be at this left hand side corner. Okay, so let's achieve that first before we move further. So let's call the name, the additional class we added to that. So that is sidebar. Can you see? We've added that class already. So here we're going to be saying position should be fixed. So since we have fixed the position, it will adjust itself. It will take the the body. By default, the position is static. So since we have fixed it, it moves to this side, to the edge. That's 0y 0x at this point. So it's there already. Can you see? It's even on top of the brand. So but we don't want it at the left hand side, we want it at the right hand side. So to change that, we say right is 0. So now you see it goes back to this place. Can you see? It's here. Okay, now let's equally put top should be 0 as well, so that it will not move down. So can you see? So it's at the top. So it's 0x and 0y. That's the coordinate point. So that's the coordinate point, 0, 0, that's x, y. So now, but this, we don't want it an horizontal way. We want it to be a what? A vertical listing. So to do that, you know that we set this property initially. I told you flex direction is row by default. So what you need to do here is to just change flex directions to column. Then it changes it to what? Column. Can you see it now? So we have that. Okay, now also let's put border around this so as to see what we are working on. So 1 pixel solid and red. Good. So it's occupying this space, but we want it to occupy the same height of the viewpoint. That's the 100% height of the viewpoint. What do? We say height. Let's try 100% and see what we get. So that's 100% of the viewpoint. Can you see it now? So that is that. So let's equally increase this. Let's increase the width. Okay, let's say the width should be 40 or 35%. Yeah, so it's taking 35% of the entire width. Okay, now, but mind you, it's not going to show on desktop. We are only creating it first for the mobile we are to create. So can you see if it is small like this, take 35% of that, You see, so now the listing should, at least the words should not be at the center, should start here, should start at this very corner here. So what do? We say we will target the child, which is the A anchor. So let's copy that, copy and paste. But we are not using this name, we are using sidebar. Okay, sidebar for the mobile. So then we come down to the width. Okay, no, not the width, the item. Yeah, this align item, this is what we want to change. So remove this one. It's going to have the same property with the list, the parent, the other LIA property, but this one is peculiar to its own, to himself, to this particular one. So we are changing from centers to start at the start, then change this one to at the start. Let's see. Good. So we now have it at the start. So let's remove this one. I think is this one. Oh, not this one. Let's uncomment it. Let's remove this. Good. So it's the one taking it to the hub. Can you see? It should be at the center. Can you see? It's taking it to the top. So it should be at the center. So since we are sharing the same align item center, and we have it already in here. We have it already in here. Can you see? And we are sharing the same property because the name is there, also the class. But this one is just what? An additional property to that mobile nav. Okay, now we have that achieved already. Yes, so let's distance this. Let's give it gap. Let's gap them. Okay, so that they will not just fit up like this. Let's gap them. To do that, we can is from this parent now, this li, that we're going to distance them. So to for the mobile one, not desktop now. For the mobile one, you say dot sidebar, then li, you say gap, row gap. We have row gap, we have gap. So let's try row gap and see what we get. Row gap 2 rem. So there's nothing at all because it's row, but meaning the vertical gap is going to be gap. So row is for the row and vertical is for the vertical. Okay, so sidebar, do we have the property display? Because if display is not there, we won't be able to do that. So it's not actually there, so we have to set it. So li should be display flex, then that's li, then okay, the property of the parent is flex, right? Good. So it's the parent that we actually owns that. That's the parent here. So it's the side that we're going to be putting gap inside. So gap 2 rem. Good. So we now have gap in between the list now. So what we want to do again is to remove this home and change this to what? Like X. This home, let's remove it and change it to S, meaning to close. So we're going to be using that X as close. Okay, but however, if you look at it, it has the property of the list. Can you see? It has the background of the list. So we're removing that completely. So to achieve that, instead of using this one, let's use span, or better still, I like using high, so italic. It helps us add styles to it. Can you see? Give us italic X. Okay, so good. We now have this now. So let's call the name of this now li. So or let's give it a class name. Let's call it close. That's what it's going to be doing for us. It's going to be closing the overlay menu bar. So we call it, let's put a border radius round about it, solid red. Good. Now we have it here. So, and also what we need to do is to, let's target the parent. Let's say close parent. So let's see what the parent has as CSS property. Close parent. Let's say this one pixel, solid and red. Good. Can you see that now? So let's set height for that. Let's set height for this one first. Width 26 pixel and the height 26 pixel. For this one 26 pixel, 26 pixel. It seems it's not responding to that, so let's put important. Okay, it's not still showing. All right, let's change this L to, probably it does not work on that. Let's check this. Let's change this to div. Let's change this to div. So it works on div. And also let's change this li to div as well. Div. So that div will be inside the div. Okay, good. So we now have div here. So the div should have the same height as, or let's say padding. Let's put the padding. So the div now is class parent. Let's say padding 2rem. Good. So we have, padding around about the div too. So it's good that way. Then now let's work on the close button. Let's set background also for this navbar here. So when we set background, we won't be able to see all this one, and we will not be able to have access to that from the overlay. So what we do, we target this sidebar. Inside the sidebar, set property background. So let's use black as well. So we've set the property background. If you can see, we are not seeing, let me comment this. Initially we were seeing about us, but now by the time we had this to it, by the time we had background, it's hide it. Okay, so and also it shows that it should be on top of all of them. So let's say z index 100. So by default all of them were 0, but by default now it is now the top of all of the elements on this web page. You can see toggle 2 has gone back, so it's on the top, at the top of them all. So let's set a blonde so as to see what we have beneath. At least it should show a blonde. So to do that, we set backdrop filter. Backdrop filter, let's set blonde. So let's put 25 pixel, 23 pixel. So we don't actually see the effect of that. Let's remove the red. Can remove this red now. We can remove the red we have here. Okay, let's leave this red. Can remove this red. So you will see it does not have any effect. That backdrop filter has no effect. It's because the background is what is black. So let's add some transition value to that to see the effect of what we just added now. Can you see? Can you see something here? Can you see the effect? Can you see it now? It's not transparent. Let's reduce it a little. So I think it's too much. Let's just put it somewhere here. Okay. Okay. Now let's reduce this to let's reduce this to, let's say, 8. Can you see? We now see it blurring. Can you see the toggle button here? And how we can see beneath the overlay now. So good. So we can continue. Let's see if we can reduce this to, let's use RGBA. So that one will help us to, let's put it at 0.5. So this takes value 0 to 1. So you now decide to take either 0.5, 0.2, or whatever, depending on your preference. So we have it now. So good. Now let's work on this close button at the center. Let's work on that. So the text, to make the text to be at the center of this box, we use what? Display flex. Then from display flex, we have align item center. That one makes it to be at the center. Then now to be at the horizontal center, we use justify content. Justify content, then center. This pushes the text at the middle of this. Okay, now let's change the color of the text from white to light coral or red. So light coral. So that shows danger. Okay, so as to know that this is too close. And also this cursor, we don't want it to be line. We want it to be what? And pointer pointing at that. So to do that, inside that same close button, which is this, you will set the property cursor to pointer. So let's go back to the browser and see. Good. So now we can remove this border. Can you see now? So what we want to do now is, when I click on this close button, should remove the sidebar. You should remove it. Okay. All right. Now can we remove the gap between this one and this one? You know, we set the gap, so we can remove it. To do that, just say margin inside this parent class parent. Just set margin bottom -2 rem. Good. So -2 rem, send it back up. This up to it. All right, now let's work on JavaScript. We are done with the CSS. Oh, no. It remains the toggle button. Okay, let's work on this first. Let's work on the JavaScript of this. So to work on the JavaScript, let's go to the JavaScript. Okay, I've written it before, so let's remove it so as to see how we can implement it ourselves. So let me remove a sidebar, hiding sidebar. So I think this will not alter our design. Let me check. Let me hide this first. I'll change this to none. Oh, no, not this one. Is the sidebar. I'm going to change the sidebar displays to none, so that it will, for now, let me just set it to none. Good. So let me see. Okay, I just want to confirm our JavaScript is still working the way it's still working. All right, good. Everything is working fine. So we need, don't forget. Okay, let's go back to this now. So we want to set the JavaScript. So where I set this one to none, let me change it back to, okay, so that it can show here. So now I want to add JavaScript that when I click on this cancel button, it should come back. And of course, there's one transition I added that it was going on its own, right? When you over it, I'm going to do that also. So don't worry. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that before I forget. All right, that transition is, I use that transition on sidebar. So you say sidebar transition. What are we transiting? That the width. Then how many minutes? 2 seconds. There is in, is out. But before then, we are going to change from the default size, from this normal size, which is 35%, then you change it to whatsoever value you want it to be. So let's say 50% and see what will happen. Can you see? If I leave this, let me refresh. Okay, it's actually going because it should be supposed to be over, or okay, over, not when it is not over. So when I put cursor on top, it moves. When you remove the cursor, it goes back, but we don't want it in a sharp manner that goes back. So what we do is to do the same in here and say transition. You know, we have the width already to be 35. So what you just need is transition. Then you say transition width 2 seconds. He's in, he's out. So let's see. So let me remove the cursor. Can you see now it's smooth? Can you see? Can you see now? Good. So it's the property that you want to transit that you had in here. Okay, and then you put the type and all. So you can read more on this on W3 School. Okay, now that we have achieved this one, now we want to click on this and close it. So what is the name of that button? The name of the button in the class of that button is called what? Class. So is this one we want to work on now? So call it in the JavaScript. So to get that done, to get that element, let's first of all say let's call it close, as the name implies, close button. Let's call it close button. Then we search for it, that is document. So JavaScript recognizes it, the HTML file as document, then search through the document for a class called close. So dot close, since it is a class, close, then you close that. Good. So you've already, this is the way of searching for an object. Then when it finds the object, it stores it inside this variable. So now that variable, we're going to be adding event listener on it, because when a user click on it, that is when we want to hide this element. Okay, when we click on it, it hides it. So you say add event listener. So this event listener is a function that takes 2 arguments or parameter. So this parameter, the first one is the name of the event, which is click. We have drag, we have double click. And second one is the function, the action to be performed. So you can use arrow function like this. Let me expand this. You can use arrow function like this. Can you see this one? And don't forget to open the parentheses and close the parentheses, but both of them are inside our parentheses. So the function can go in here, the actions to be performed. Now the actions to be performed is to hide this sidebar once you click on close. Okay, now to do that, we need to get the sidebar elements also. What's the name? It is called sidebar. So it's called navbar also, but we can't use navbar because we have navbar here also. So if you click on close and you use navbar, it's going to apply to both of them. Both of them is going to be hidden. So let's use this one, which is sidebar. So let's search for sidebar. Let's call it sidebar constant. That's the way of declaring variable here. Let's call it sidebar, as the name implies, is equals to, let's search for it. That's it. Then the name of the sidebar is there already. So JavaScript will search for this particular element inside HTML file. So the property to hide the sidebar is called display, like you saw me initially when I had this. So let me try and hide it manually. So inside the sidebar, if I put a property called display none, you won't see it there. Can you see it now? So that is what we want to do, that once we click on close, you should add that properties to the class. So what is the name of the element now? The element is called sidebar. We've already stored it in that variable. So sidebar dot style, to access it is inside the, to access property is inside the style that we access the property. Style dot display is equals to, you now put none. So if I go now and click on this, look at it. If I click on this, can you see it disappeared? Let me refresh. If I click on it, and I click on that, it disappears. Can you see? When I click on it, it disappears. So now we want a toggle. By the time this will be displaying on the small screen, it should show the toggle button here. But first and foremost, let's add that toggle button too. Let's add that toggle button to clean things up. So let's add that to it. So we're supposed to download a toggle button, but I will show you how to create your own customized toggle button. Okay, so yeah, let's put it immediately after this toggle. So let's put it that way. Let's say first and foremost, we need a container that will now take 3 bars. So I can do it this way, multiply by 3, then this gives me 3 bar. Then however, this one also, I can say toggle bars. Okay, toggle bars, just to put it that way, or toggle wrapper, either way. So let's set a value for this and see. If you look at the screen now, you won't see anything. But it's just showing that there's something here, but it's gapping this. Now if I remove it, let me comment it out. Let's comment it out. You will see the toggle goes back, but when we uncomment it, you will see toggle moves. Let me hide it now. I think we don't need it now. So by default, this should be, by default, the sidebar should be none, should not display until when we click on this button that I want to do now. Okay, now that button is called toggle bars. Toggle bars. So let's put border 1 pixel, solid and red. You will see we have it's very small. So let's set width for that as well, and the height 26 pixel, width 26 pixel. Let's see. Good, we have that. Okay, then the next thing we want to do is the bar inside it. So let's say dot bars, the height of the bar. Now there are going to be 3 bars in there, so let's set the height to be 4 pixel. Height 4 pixel. So 4 times 3, that's 12. 4 times 3 is 12. So meaning we are removing 12 from this, that will remain 14. So let's see what will happen first. The width, we are going to be taking 100% of the parent. So let's see, we don't see anything yet. Let's put border radius to see what we are doing. Solid and red. Good, you can see now they are all stacked on each other. So I think another thing we can do, we can increase this from, let's change this to 6. So 6 times 3, 18. 18 minus this if I subtract 18 from this, I'm going to have 8, right? This is 18. Yes, I'm going to have 8. So the 8 now will be the padding top and bottom. So divide 8 by 2, 4. But when it's not going to be 2, remember the space below, in between this one, here, and here, that is up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So meaning 8 divided by 4, 2. So I'm going to be giving this 2 pixel. That's padding. Now inside the toggle, the gap, let's say gap. No, let's first set the display first to flex, because gap cannot work without this. So, and it should not be what the by default is row, so you have to change it, flex directions to column. So column changes it to this. Okay, then now let's set the gap. The gap is going to be, we are dividing the remaining value here. When you times this one by 3, that is 18. 18 minus this remain 8. So the 8, we want to share it as a space for all of those items here, 1, 2, 3 items, and they are going to have space at the top, in between this, in between this, in between this. That's 4. So meaning 8 divided by 4, 2. So gap is equal to 2 pixel. So let's see. Can you see that? 2 pixel, but we now have like 4 pixel here. This is the gap, this is the gap, but here is just the remaining 4. So we have removed 4 out of the 8. Now this 4 now divided by 2 is going to be for the bottom and the top corner. So what we do is padding 2 pixel for the top and for the right side. Can you see it now? We now have toggle. So now we don't want a cursor, so you want the pointer. We don't want arrow, we want what? Pointer. So pointer, we have it. Then also let's change the color from this to color white, background color. No, for this one it's not going to be background color, it's going to be the border color. So let's give it this as well. Good. Then for the element inside, we are going to set this for background color, the same color here. So can you see it now? So now can you see now we have this perfect toggle designed by us. Okay, now what we want to do now is to make sure that this disappears. Okay, when we view on the mobile phone, this should remove, right? But before then, let's do the functionality of this first. When I click on this, it should show our sidebar. So let's call this and search for it here in the JavaScript. So we're going to call it, what's the name? What should we use? Let's constant. Let's call it the name, toggle bars. Okay, I think I've called it open sidebar initially, right? Open sidebar. That was the name. I didn't remove the name actually. Let's use the name. Open sidebar. Open sidebar. Then the name of the sidebar is this sidebar. Show sidebar, no, is sidebar. No. Open sidebar. Don't let me give the name, that will be convincing. Let's just use the name toggle sidebar. Sidebar is equals to, search for toggle sidebar, the name. So this is the name of our element, this button, open sidebar. So it's the one to open this, toggle the sidebar. So let's call it now the same property we give the close. We just copy copy it and change this name from close button to toggle sidebar. Then from the non-property, give it flex. Can you see? Flex property. That makes it comes up. So let's click. Can you see it now? If I click on this, it closes. If I click on this, it shows up. If I click on this again, it closes. Okay, good. We are fine now. We are good to go. We close it. Can you see? So now that we have that responsive URL, then we want to do something. We want to remove this. By the time we are moving the screen, we want this to hide up. So let's check the size where we need to start the breaking point from. To do that, on the Mac, you hold Option, Control, Command, and I. It opens up our developer tools. Then here we can now see, you can see here toggle display, device. Can you see? Now let's work on, let's use this. So if I click on this now, it's working. Okay, can you see? It closes it, but we want to remove this bar. So let's use responsive option from the dimension responsive. So let's try and shift this till when we see that this brand, you know, it's this form. I think it looks great. So, but better still, let's set our breaking points at, let's just set it at 760 breaking point. At that point, we don't want this to show again. Okay, let's do that inside CSS. So to do that, we're going to be using @media query. But before then, let's set a property. Let's give this a property. This is what we want to hide, the desktop icon. So we are hiding the list in the desktop format. So on Mac OS, I can select multiple elements by holding Option. Okay, so in Windows, you can try that and let me know in the comment below. Okay, all right, now we have equals to quote. Let's say tabs. So the tabs, we want to hide the tabs. So we set @media query. @media query listens to the what? The screen sizes. Okay, so maximum width is going to be, let's say 7 what? We can use 760. Let's use 760. So at the 760, at this point, you should hide this list. So now open it. Then you call the name of the class that we have given to those list item in the desktop navbar. We only set the list item, we give them tab name, but not inside the sidebar. Can you see it now? So we are targeting only this because we want to hide it. Okay, so now let's set the property. In here, we don't want to display it whenever the desktop maximum width is 760 or below. So we say none. So let's, okay. Good. Here, if you change it now, if you check from here, you will see it disappears. So however, you will see the distance between toggle and this, I don't want it. So in order to solve that issue, just go back to the HTML and down the toggle button, this toggle button now, and this toggle bar, put them inside one div. So put the two of them inside one div. Why? Because the reason why they are gapping each other is because of the property we set on the parent, which is the gap. So let's move the two inside inside the div. Can you see? We have moved them inside this div, the two of them inside the div. So we won't have gap as, can you see it now? We won't have gap like that. But however, by default, div is what? Is a block element. That's why they are stacking on top of each other. So to solve that, let's add a property. Let's say class group toggles based on their names. So not inside the CSS now, not inside the Archimedean query, the normal CSS property. So we say group toggles. So group toggle display flex. Can you see that now? Display is flex, but if you see they are not aligned, the item align is not center, is start. So we change that, or not in here, yeah, we change that for align item center. Good. And the gap between them, now we can now set the gap that we want. Gap, let's set it to 2 rem and see what will happen. Okay, 2 rem or 1 rem. Good. 2 rem or 1 rem. So it's okay. So now let's see, you can see at this point, this is deforming. So look at this dimension at the right corner at 842 is deforming our brand. So to do that, let's increase this one from this to 842. So 842 here, can you see? It takes it away. Can you see? At 842, 847 it comes up. 842 it leaves the screen. Can you see? Can you see now? Can you see? Can you see? So now, since this one is hiding, then we need the sidebar option to choose from. Remember, the next tutorial we are going to be going through React. Then all our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are going to be learning it through React. By then, you become a front-end engineer, and also you will learn components, you will learn state management as time goes on this channel.